To the late edition of the news here on TV3. It is live from our studio here at Adesanwe in Accra, and it is coming to you live from our studio here at Adesanwe. I am Martin Esiedudati. We're also streaming live on DSTV channel 279 and on Facebook. This is TV3 Ghana. Tonight, President Akufo-Addo has granted amnesty to 808 prisoners. We'll be delving deeper into that particular story shortly. Before that, though, here are highlights of the stories making headlines in Ghana. President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has urged individuals and groups calling for a lockdown of the country to consider the consequences on the populace. At a closed-door meeting with the leadership of the Trades Union Congress, the president, however, said he is engaging all stakeholders to ensure government takes the best decision in the interest of the citizens. 5 persons have been arrested attempting to enter Ghana through unapproved routes in the Upper East region. A total of 9 buses from Accra, Kumasi and Burkina Faso were also turned away on Wednesday and Thursday as pressure mounts on the unapproved routes in the region. Now, clearing agents operating at the Tema port say managers of their companies have issued layoff notices to them to go home. Most of them who spoke to TV3 said that the layoffs were attributed to the meltdown of the business owing to the coronavirus pandemic. All right, so those are the stories making headlines here in Ghana. Let's find out what's happening around the world, starting from definitely the issue having to do with the coronavirus. 500,000 people have now contracted the coronavirus globally. Further steep rise in Europe comes as the G20 pledged to inject $5 trillion into the global economy to help shore up funds that have been lost. And moments ago, the United States has come closely behind China as the country with the most infections. Very troubling times we are in indeed. And in the United Kingdom, self-employed workers can apply for a grant worth 80% of their average monthly profits to help them cope with the financial impact of coronavirus, according to Chancellor of the UK's Exchequer. The money, up to a maximum of £2,500 a month, will be paid in a single lump sum, but will not begin to arrive until June at the earliest. Wage subsidies of 80% for salaried employees was announced last week. And the number of Americans filing for unemployment has surged to a record high as the economy goes into lockdown due to the coronavirus pandemic. Nearly 3.3 million people registered to claim jobless benefits for the week ending 21st of March, according to the Department of Labor data. That is nearly 5 times more than the previous record of 695,000, which was set in 1982. All right, so those are the major stories making headlines both locally and internationally. Let's go straight to the presidency and find out what the president has been saying, or that major decision the president has taken. President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has granted amnesty to 808 prisoners. The decision was taken upon the recommendations of the Prison Service Council of the Ghana Prison Service and in consultation with the Council of State. So a statement signed by the Director General of the Prisons, Patrick Daku Misa, noted that the decision was taken in accordance with Article 72, Clause 1 of the 1992 Constitution. While some say it is in a bid to decongest the prisons, the statement did not indicate same. The statement further explains that the categories of convicts affected are 783 first offenders who have served half of their sentences, 11 seriously ill prisoners, 7 inmates on death row, 4 inmates serving a life sentence to have a sentence commuted to 20 years definite term, and then 3 very old prisoners, 70 years and above. Also, the statement did not say whether or not it was signed or released, or these persons have been asked to go home because of the coronavirus outbreak. All right, so we're going to be interrogating this issue further. We've been joined on Skype by Robert Akoto Amwafo. He is the country director of Amnesty International Ghana. He's joined us via Skype. I want to pick his thoughts on this, what they make of the decision by the president to release 808 prisoners who have been given presidential amnesty. Mr. Amwafo, good evening and thank you for joining us this evening. Unfortunately, we cannot hear you. Maybe there's a technical challenge with the sound. We'll try and fix that.
Can you hear me now?
Good, yes, we can hear you now. To start with, you have been at the forefront of fighting for human rights. What are your initial thoughts of this decision that the president has made?
And thank you very much, and good evening to your listeners and to your viewers. Sorry, it's important for us to see that this is a very important measure by the president. We at Amnesty applaud it, and we see it as a very important step towards decongesting our prisons, which, as you already mentioned, we have been calling on the presidency to find a way to ensure that our prisons are put in a proper state where it can serve as a means of reformation for the people who are sent there. So for us at Amnesty, we applaud the move, and we expect more to be done, but also it should be done in conjunction with other things that will help our prisons become a better place to help serve the nation.
If you say you're expecting more to be done, how do you mean?
One is that we expect that there's more investment. I mean, the most important thing for any justice system is not just to dump people in a particular room and leave them there to rot. Or, if you may be aware, over the period we've been advocating about the amount of money that is spent on each prisoner for their meals. Currently, every prisoner is allocated 180 pesos a day for feeding for the 3 square meals, including snacks a day. And also, we know that the prisons are housing a lot of people, over 50% overcrowding, which means that a room that's supposed to carry about 100 people has over 200 people in that room. We know that some of the prisons were horse stalls and some were warehouses and have been turned into prisons. So they are not conducive areas for these prisons. So we expect that more investment and more changes come to the prisons so that it serves as a means of information for our people.
We would look at 2 other issues, one having to do with, how this plays out in the era of the corona outbreak. Because the statement did not say whether or not it was one of the decisions or one of the considerations before the decision was made. But let's look at the fact that these persons were in prison for various reasons. Some, according to the statement, are persons who were serving life sentences, etc. When this story came out, there were persons who had questions as to whether or not they have been reformed before being released. How does that play in the context of Amnesty International's plea to almost always wanting to have human rights considered everywhere?
Well, our concern really is about, 1, decongestion of prisons, 2, to ensure that processes are gone on right. If you may have heard over the period, one thing we have said is that we need to strengthen our justice system. Most of the time, there are things within our justice system that does not support as to say that there are people who are there because they are rightfully there. Some people do not have access to legal services and they find themselves there. Some people cannot afford the process. I mean, you have to file a case in court and all of that. And so many people find themselves there who may not, generally, if they had a good lawyer or something, would not have found themselves there. So that is why sometimes we say that it's important that we rather strengthen our legal system and then also focus on ensuring that we put crimes that are hard, that we only put people in custody. Petty crimes, we can have other measures to address petty crimes like petty stealing and other things that can help reduce the incidence of putting people in custody. We believe that also there are people who are in prison and they have spent almost the whole of their lives there. We visit the prison sometimes and you see people who are over 70. They can't help themselves. They generally need people to lift them up to do general things like people going to the private. So it's important that such people, after the prison service has assessed them and has found that they are eligible to be sent out, they are put through a process. So if they don't just put any other people out for the fact that the president wants to put people out, I can tell you this thing takes a long time. It's a long process that the prison service has to go through, the Prisons Council has to go through before the Council of States also goes through this. Right. So it's a long process that we have.
So you believe that all those considerations were made before the final decision was taken?
Yes, and it's clearly stated in the statement too. And we are aware, because it's our work, we are aware that these things go through. And if you may be also aware that over the past 4 years, 3 and almost 3 months of this government, this is the second time this is being done. So it's not something that is done on the regular for any country.
Okay, now let's talk about the global conversation, which has also become very key on the mouth of many Ghanaians, the coronavirus. With the persons still, with those who are still left, behind bars in the various prisons across the country, what advice would you have for government in the wake of the fact that there is a possibility that if one person in that prison facility gets the virus, it could spread much quicker than probably when they are outside? And while you're thinking of that, we know other countries that have released in excess of 8,000 prisoners, like in Iran, for instance. They released quite a number of, including hardened criminals. So in the context of Ghana, what would you say government can do or should do now that we have also recorded some coronavirus cases here?
I think we are still looking at the cases that are coming up. I just heard the president speak at a press conference about even the issue of the lockdown and all of that. I'm sure that it's part of their processes and thinking through, and that is why we may have even had this happening. And as an organization, we keep reminding the president and his government about the need to ensure the safety and well-being of the prisoners who are in their custody. It's important that they put all the health measures in place. On the 14th of February, we were with the president and we reminded him of all this. And he assured us of taking critical steps towards this. And we believe that having this amnesty is one of the steps that he has taken towards the plea that we put before him. So we are confident that the government would put in place these measures. And we are there as watchdogs to make sure that these people are protected from harm. And we also don't only talk about the prisoners when we talk about these issues. We talk about also the servicemen who are there with them, the prison service people who work with them, because when any of these health issues happen in the prisons, it also affects them and their family.
Right.
So yes, we are watching and brief, and we are making sure that government goes according to plan and do not take the prisons out of their plan within this coronavirus period.
Thank you so much, Robert Akoto Amwa, for making time to speak with us. And he is the country director for Amnesty International. This is still NEWSAT10 on TV3. We're taking a quick break. When we return, we have some more stories for you. Stay with us.
Sena de ya mini nyina na yan sunsuno.
Nsonsono de sena dra ne trazol 400 albendazole. The tablet ni nsu.
Ampa unimaduro no. Eno ana agi mi yo. Na de da wo ho ne se. Enwo hia se obedi ade dokodoko bia. Ansa no anom trazol